Bruce, I mean, you played with maybe the best passing big man ever last year, and you've got a couple of great passing big men here. How much does it open up the offense and just things that you can do offensively when you've got kind of a hub in the middle there?
Yeah, playing with a passing big is great. Just playing off the ball, getting cuts, getting behind the defense. I feel like the second unit we should do that a lot more, just to get the ball movement, get better scoring to help the starting unit. But playing with passing bigs are great.
What's the learning curve like when, I mean, you guys have a pretty set second unit now, Kelly comes in. Does he need time to get to know you guys in terms of like where you like the ball, where you want the ball? Do you have to get to know him?
I think we all need to figure it out.
Yeah.
We're all basically new. The whole second unit is new. Grady's first year. So I mean, we're just all trying to figure it out. It's been tough.
When you look at this part of the schedule, having a play-in possibility, is it kind of a good thing just to focus on, even if it's not like you're gunning for a title, but does it kind of keep people focused, keep people?
Yeah, I played in the play-in like 2 years ago, so it was great. It was a good atmosphere. We ended up being in Cleveland when I was in Brooklyn, so it was good. I mean, we're definitely trying to get there. I mean, you never know what happens in March. But Miami was in the play-in and made it to the finals, so you never know.
Well, obviously you get up for any game, but is there anything that rises when you're playing a Luka, Kyrie, or a Steph tomorrow at all?
Not really. I think you just try to take every game as the same. But Steph and Kyrie, Luka, they're different players. They're on a different planet. The way they make shots, the way they create for others, and how they see the game. But I just try to take every game as it is.
As a guy who comes off the bench, is it going to be weird seeing Clay come off the bench? Might be in a position where you're guarding.
No, I don't think so.
Kelly, you're sort of one of the fulcrums of the second unit that's pretty young, all things considered. I guess the whole team's pretty young. But how do you manage like the ups of a game like Atlanta and the downs of a game like last night for the group you're with? And do you notice guys coming to you, with all that inconsistency and trying to stay even?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of youth on this team, but a lot of talent. Guys are trying to find their way, find their niche in this organization, and try to figure out how they can, leave a positive impact and help, and just trying to, complement those guys and help them any way you can, whether it's experience, knowledge off the court or on the court, putting them in good positions to succeed. And the NBA is super volatile. There's a lot of ups and downs. It's a roller coaster, but you got to be mentally and physically, personally, and as a team as steady as you can to make sure those highs and lows aren't too high and too low. Well, I guess you want them to be as high as you can, but not too low for sure.
I mean, how did you learn that?
A lot of it's just experience, but Brad Stevens was really good at that. He always preached, you're never as good as people say, you're never as bad as people say, and you're never get too high, never get too low. It's a long season, and if you're emotional and you let one mistake turn into 2 or 3, or one bad game turn into 2 or 3, that's when you have problems. And how quickly you can turn around and put things in a box to the side and bounce back is really important.
Weight do you put on like the post All-Star schedule? Like you got different teams, like a team coming in tomorrow. They're got everything. They're putting everything in, trying to stay on spot.
Yeah, I mean,
the teams that maybe aren't as much.
It depends on the situation. A lot of teams are, like you said, scratching and clawing, fighting for their life, and other teams are looking for life. And you kind of got to, like I said, as a player, you got to be as steady as you can, even keeled and even headed, and go in and be a professional and keep getting better and put your best foot forward every day, because you put little building blocks on, that's how you build a tower or a building. I mean, it's not going to come overnight. So you got to keep those habits and get, a little bit better every single day. And hopefully it translates into wins, and then, this year, next year, wherever it is.
Having a play-in possibility like sort of there, is that something that's good for the team?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, you definitely have something to play for. I mean, I think without that, it would be statistically really hard. But I mean, shoot, if you can sneak into that 10th spot in that play-in, anything can happen. All of a sudden you have a playoff series and you get hot, and now you're rolling, and now you build your confidence, and you never know what happens.
You watched back, was it? I know you said you weren't pleased with how not making it more difficult on Luka. Is that what you saw in the video, or were there things that you felt you missed out on?
Not necessarily just on Luka, but just in general, like with our game plan, I thought that probably like 60% of the game we did what we were supposed to do, and some 40% of the game it was just not enough of focus, not enough of effort in some of those plays defensively, and it just led to easy points, second chance points, easy points in the paint. So the film just confirmed that we had another gear that we were supposed to get into, and we did not.
Is that a thing with young teams, that you try to limit those longer stretches of questionable plays? Is that what the goal with the young team is?
Absolutely, yeah. So young team, talented team is gonna do good things, and they're gonna make mistakes. But understanding like the time and the score, and I believe we had 25-18 lead, and when we start subbing, it quickly ended up being 32-27. So it was like 14-2 run there at end of the first quarter, start of the second quarter. And those are the runs that you need to be able to control a little bit better, to have a couple of better shots on offensive end, to convert, a couple of opportunities in transition, but also on defensive end being able to get stops.
And it's funny with your team, because in Atlanta and Indiana, the second unit is really good.
That's right.
Last night, right off the bat, they give up a long run. Is there a way to even that out, or is it just?
I mean,
kids being kids.
Kids being big kids, but kids gotta grow up. It's that's why we're here today. That's why we watched film. That's why we had some, honest and good conversations, and trying to address what we need to do better. And the only way you do that is through work and repetitions.
On the note of kids being kids, I think Yak and Kelly are the oldest guys in both of those units, both obviously bigs that can pass the ball. How much do you look at those guys as centers, as kind of hubs of those two units?
They are. That's exactly what they are, both of them. I thought that this last game we did not have that connectivity that we had in some of the previous games. I just thought that offensively we had the opportunity to make a couple more passes to make it harder on them, and I thought that we just fall in love in some of the maybe quick shots or like one-pass shots. I'm not saying that those were bad shots or anything like that, but just like we're at our best when everybody's touching the ball, when everybody's like feeling the flow of the game, and that's how I want our team to play, And both of those guys that you mentioned, Yak and Kelly, are so important for us in that aspect.
Having two bigs that are able to see the floor and pass the ball the way that they do, how much does that kind of enable you guys to do the things you want to do to play the way that you want to play?
Definitely is a huge help. Both of them are willing passers and good passers, but also at the same time, you got to be very active of the ball. You got to be setting good screens. You got to be able to read defense, to have good cuts. I thought that over the course of the game we had a couple of really good possessions that we showcased that. At the end of the day, we scored 125 points, and and still it was not enough to get a win. So we got to do a better job of executing, and we got to do a better job of preventing those runs of the other team.
So that second that you mentioned, scoring 125, the other end, that second unit, when you have Grady, Ochai, and who am I missing? Bruce. Like, those guys are physical, but they're not necessarily big guys like
right.
early on the wing. How can that group get itself to like good defensively or acceptable defensively? Because they don't have that sort of bump
right.
that you had at the beginning of the season.
So you can take a look at it with two different angles. Do we come up with coverages to try to protect them? or we actually expose them and make them become better.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm more leaning now that I want to expose those guys as much as possible. You know, I think that Grady start of the season, he was the guy that everybody's going at. I think that he's holding his ground pretty well right now, and I think he can continue getting better in that aspect. You know, everything that we do, that I do, is thinking about playoffs and preparation, and for this year and for the future. And once the playoff games come, there's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
And you gotta be able at least to guard your position if you're not capable of guarding multiple positions, you know. So I think right now for us is really getting enough information what those guys can do and areas where they need to improve and get better. So I want to push that player development, individual development ahead of necessarily schemes that are gonna cover for some limitations we have.
Thanks for watching the Toronto Raptors YouTube channel. Check out our latest video and subscribe for more.
Denied. Lead pass. Here's McDaniels. In a crowd. Wide open.